Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to present our paper. The title is The Effectiveness of Rehabilitation of Drugs Abusers Based on Spiritualism, Islamic Therapy at the Khotimah Foundation, Kuningan, West Java. I'm Novy Khotimah. I'm from National Narcotic Board of Kushardiyanti, and my partner is Dessy Kushardiyanti from National Institute of Islamic Religion, Sheikh Nurjati Cirebon, Ministry of Religion. Introduction. Now, various foundations have carried out rehabilitation practices involving several methods that have become standard rehabilitation on BNN, including medical, social, spiritual activities, and capacity building. A spiritual approach as a form of rehabilitation based on spiritual activities through the internalization of religious values is important. This religious approach was also carried out at one of the rehabilitation centers in Kuningan, the Khotimah Foundation, which is located in Subang District, Kuningan, West Java. Spiritual activities carried out by the manager, who is also a counselor, are carried out with a humanist religious approach, namely treatment with the willingness and ability of each individual. In addition, this foundation involves religious leaders and mediators from Islamic boarding schools who directly provide spiritual showers in the form of lectures. Not a few former drugs abusers who were rehabilitated choose to continue the internalization of religious to pesantren. Thus, in order to support the above background, it is necessary to know how the response of drugs abusers who go through the rehabilitation and process based on the religious approach is needed. So it needs to be studied from the point of view of the abuser themselves in perceiving religious activities that are followed during the rehabilitation and process and their influence on attitude change. This can be consideration and benefit for rehabilitation agents and families who will entrust their family member foundation that partner with BNN for the rehabilitation process. Methodology. The research is descriptive, quantitative, and qualitative. Secondary data collection was carried out by collecting data from literature reviews or library research, observation, and interviewing resource persons through the management of the Khotimah Foundation. Regarding the establishment of a rehabilitation foundation, management structure, cooperation rehabilitation phase, as well as forms of religious activities carried out during the rehabilitation on process for drugs abusers and collecting data. This figure showing the research framework. Based on the research model, the researcher proposed a hypothesis in accordance with the results of previous sex studies, including Hypothesis 1. Religious activities have a positive effect on the attitude of drug abuser. Hypothesis 2. The intensity of drug abuse mediates the influence of religious activities on the attitudes of drug abusers. Finding and discussion. This study begins with a data quality test to see the feasibility of the items in the questionnaire used as a research tool by testing validity and reliability. Based on the overall calculation on each item of the questionnaire on the dependent variable, there is attitudes of abusers towards religious activities at the Khotimah Foundation. It was attained about 87%. While the perception score of abusers on religious activities at the Khotimah Foundation is about 87% too. Simultaneously, affected attitudes of drug abusers to religious activities at the Khotimah Foundation with an R-square number of 0.226 simultaneously hypothesis testing on dependent variables attitudes of users towards religious activities at the chapter 1 foundation through the mediator variable duration of taking drugs. Intensity of drug use is proven to have a negative effect on attitude change with a percentage of 34.3% of the F-score 034. The remaining percentage is influenced by other factors beyond the intensity of the duration taking drugs. This indicates that the higher the duration of drug abuser, the lower the attitude towards the abuser will decrease. So this is conclusion. Based on the result of survey taken from 30 respondents of drug abusers who were rehabilitated at the Chapter Winning Foundation until June 18, 2020, as a whole, it can be concluded that the drug abuse residents who have participated in religious activities lead to be a positive attitude towards Islamic-based activities as a total percentage of 87%, with interpretation of very good score. This shows that the majority of residents agree with religious activities that intersect with the ease and aspect of spirituality obtained during the activity shown from direct action in the form of participation during religious activities, practicing prayer, and reading the Quran, realizing the consuming drugs prohibited, and far from the religious values adopted so that they regret not to repeat taking drugs again. Spiritual activities, which are generally carried out directly by the builder at the Chapter Winning Foundation, do not escape the participation of religious readers from the surrounding boarding school involved, including counselors who also rely on the human side as part of Islamic values based on humanity. This certainly indicates that the teaching of Islam, which is intended to help counsel and restore their mental peace so that human values must still be carried out side by side with the religious aspect that is carried out without having forced the inmates to carry out worship practices perfectly at the beginning but gradually. That's all. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.